Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, your mic is. Oh, you have on your mic?
I have it on right now.
Okay. Give it a tap. Yep, that's it.
Okay.
It is live.
Okay. Go up front too. I don't like that light up there. Please do. Every time like it's a glaring light. Let me see if I can undo that one. That's the one, right? That's the culprit right there. Okay. Good to see you. How you doing tonight? Good, good. All right. All right. So Dave, we found a replacement for you for the retreat. Jake's gonna be your replacement. I understand, Jake. You're gonna be rooming with us at the retreat. So I knew. Yep. So kind of upgraded a little bit. Now, if they could find my upgrade, which is probably easy to do as well. Can you turn that down? I just went back and turned that down. That's way too bright. All right. Good evening, folks. Good to see everybody. Welcome. It's Wednesday night. It's Collingswood, and it's one of my favorite places to be. We actually had a great time last night. We had a smaller, intimate group at Barnes & Noble. I love any time we get together. Got a good chance to catch up with Dave and Akash. A lot of times I wind up talking to different folks, and it's good to connect with old friends. And Dave and I were getting into a little bit of a heated debate. And Bill quickly was kind enough to quote some scripture at us and settle us down. Remember the scripture, Bill? James, be quick to listen, slow to speak. And I think that was directed more towards Dave than myself. I'm just joking. But all yeah. Yeah, but I think it was more, you were looking at him. No, it was all joking. It was a fun night. And me and Dave, we get together. We like to spoof and joke with each other. It was a great night, and I'm looking forward to continuing that at the retreat. And whenever I get together with friends, it's only a matter of time, especially me and Dave, only a matter of time until me or Dave says something stupid. Last night it was me. I got redirected. and we made it through another Barnes night. But great time. Um, Looking forward to the retreat coming up. And I want to focus a little bit on motivation, focus on victories, and kind of share some thoughts with myself. I've been very blessed recently with my job. I was being under the crunch of so much weight, and probably a good 55% of it is just dissipated, just like that. And I give God the glory and honor and praise for that. And one of the things I've learned, kind of like Bill was saying, be quick to listen, slow to speak. I try to find ways to pause in my day, no matter how crazy it is, and to connect with God. And there's a couple times where I did that, and just great results. I remember one time, it was a horrible day. It was so much pressure. I was actually thinking about quitting one day. And I was walking across the street, and I saw this signpost that looked like a cross. And I said, you know what? Maybe that's God's sign for me to stop and pray for a second. So I just stopped there for maybe about a minute and was praying. And then out of nowhere, one of my big bosses comes along and says, hey, Scott, what's going on? And because I stopped and prayed, we had this great conversation. And that was very key in me getting through that crazy patch of time. And I just think anytime we can stop, connect with God, it's a win. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, as Bill was saying last night. And a lot of times I say, stop, count to 10. So I have a better strategy. And this comes from, just randomly I picked up these things. My new thing is, if I'm under stress, I picked up some of these. What do these look like? Anybody recognize them? They're not gummies. They're butterscotch candies. And anytime I'm stressed, I'll pause for a second. I'll take one of these out. Rather than count to 10, I find that if I have one of these, I pop in my mouth, wait till this completely dissolves, and then continue. And I find that you can't go wrong when you have God and butterscotch. I get done with the butterscotch, I feel much better. So many times I've just kind of like, just a better place. So I'm going to pass these around. Tony, if you can catch it, I don't know if you're weak in condition, if you can. Take one, pass it around. If you need more than one, help yourself. Just pass it around. If you want to give some out, feel free to do so too. Take some extra ones. And
Scott, if I could add,
yeah.
Thing about like when you get really wrapped up in yourself,
Mhm.
work or something's really stressing you out, like you have it a lot more commonly, and kind of grab the strategy to do all the time.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be that much, but one time I was really stressed about something I had to get done, and such a I was really getting angry about it, and it was actually church related.
Maybe grab the microphone, Akash. If you could grab the microphone, just while you're talking. But continue, Dave. Tony. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, it was really church-related stuff. It was something I had to do, and I was having a ton of trouble doing it. And I was getting really frustrated. And Bill happened to call me. And I was just going off with him about it. And he just said, just get it done.
Hmm.
And
That's
it was
great.
it was just so shocking and funny. It just broke me out of the zone I had gotten myself into. And it's kind of like you using something tasty or whatever to get, it's something that just you're connecting with your senses. Just something
Yeah.
to get you out of the spiral that you've largely gotten yourself into, I've gotten myself into. So, also, I would encourage people to reach out to a friend from church. And not everybody's going to just say, get it done and hang up on you, but they would have something in common.
And great because it's brutally true too. Just to say that, just get it done.
You say, just get it done and hung up on you.
That is great, man.
I just was cracking up after about 10 seconds.
Yeah, and as I said before, if you have stories to share, other things, say something. I mean, this is why we're here. And it's a journey, and life is tough, and, it's the little things, the little victories that make a difference. So thank you, Tony. Thanks for sharing that. So,
It's possible.
it sounds like, doesn't comedians say it all the time, get her done or something like that? I know it's a little different, but. So the little victories, motivation. I always think of the word emotion. A lot of times we think that we're in control when really emotion kicks in, and it can really catch us off guard. And I always want to kind of try to get us back to, how do we know we're in control? How do we know that we're following Christ and not something else? The motivation word and the emotion word comes from the Greek word movir, which is to move. And I'm always trying to figure out, how can I make sure that it's not me that's doing things, that I'm not getting in God's way, but rather how can I let God lead? And it's tough. It's to me, it's a challenge. Any other thoughts before we continue? Because I have some other things here. Any other stories or things that help? Microphone back there to Mark. Yeah. That's a CD. Yeah. And what was it, a CDL or CDC? What? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. It's funny. I just talked to somebody yesterday with one of the mediation I was doing, who's going through the same thing, having a very difficult time. But great he connected, as Christina saying, great he connected with you to share that joy. And I love being part of that, because is there anything better than seeing somebody succeed? And better than, it's just they call you to share with you that news, like how just to be overflowing with joy. So wonderful. Okay. Any other thoughts? And have close friends to connect with. And okay. So I want to kind of ask a question. What is your most motivational movie? I have a few that I put up there, and if you think of any, shout them out. And it's hard to pick, because I find that a lot of the movies tend to center around sports. They tend to be the most obvious ones in some ways, but there's other ones if you look deeper too. And the ones I picked were, I think, predominantly sports ones. Anybody have any favorite motivational movie? Anything that just inspires you? Oh, that's one of my top. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, yeah. The whole overview of It's a Wonderful Life is, what would life be like if George Bailey wasn't born, and to have the gift of seeing what that would be like. Great movie, top notch. Jake. That's one I put up there too. Yeah, the funny thing about Rocky is he's not a real person. he's the one statue that we have in Philadelphia that was put up there before all the other big ones. I think it was up there before Steve Carlton and the different ones. And he's not a real character, but we just love Rocky. Rocky is Philadelphia, and I love during a Phillies game when they ring the bell or something, that goes dong, and they start playing the Rocky music. I love that. It just gives me chills.
These fictional characters, like, it is legitimate to look to them for inspiration, because they do embody what we want to be as.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mark. Yeah. Well, Rocky 12, I think he ties with yeah, he beat Superman. So just great stuff. Yeah, I think of Rocky, and just Adrian, and there's Cut My Eyes and all that kind of stuff, and just tough stuff. Any other thoughts? Bill. Microphone or no microphone, it's up to you. I'll repeat. If you have a microphone, give it to Bill. If not, okay. Okay.
Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. There's a scene where Bruce is about to play in the tournament on Hans Island.
Good accent too. It sounded perfect, spot on. Good, yeah. Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee, another classic. Good example. Yeah.
It's a Star Trek episode called Tapestry, and the captain of the Enterprise, he had some things in his past that he really regretted. You know, he got involved in whatever, he ended up getting stabbed because he had a big iron heart. So he always regretted that, but then he got sunk back in time and had the opportunity to change those things, and he did. And he made better, more mature decisions.
Oh, cool.
But when he grew up again, he didn't have some of the best qualities about himself
Oh,
that had been earned through the tough times he had.
okay.
So by removing a lot of the tough times he had, he didn't become the person that he did when he had gone through it.
That's interesting.
That was really just the name,
Yeah.
the tapestry, just the name. It all builds up to who you are.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
Very cool. Anybody agree with that? Like the tough times make us who we are. The challenges develop character, and really gives us an appreciation for just life in general. Yeah. Good, good. Anything else? Oh, Shawshank's a good one. Yeah, yeah. Shawshank is a really classic one. Good choice. Dave? Did you raise your hand, Dave?
yeah, I don't really get around movies so much.
Right. Oh. I can never tell.
This isn't one of my favorite movies, but
Ooh.
one of my favorite scenes where he measures, he gets up on a ladder and he measures the roof from the He looks around at the court, and he says, even though you're surrounded by all this hoopla, all this extra stuff, this is still just the hickory ring.
Oh, how about that?
And so I'm paraphrasing, you might not close to something like that, but we're playing in this huge arena, but the line and the height of the basket and all the things that matter are all the same for everyone.
Wow.
I just always found that interesting,
Yeah.
all the other stuff, concentrating on stuff, really,
Excellent.
it's the same stuff.
Excellent. And Gene Hackman, one of my favorite actors, and I think of Rocky Burgess Meredith, just great actors. Very old time actors. Good, good. Couple more I'll put up here. Let me see a second. What movie? Old timers. Brian's Song. This is the first movie I cried at. I was younger. Oh yeah. Right. That was the next one. But Brian's Song, what a great movie. I think Brian Piccolo helps Gale Sayers back, and then Gale Sayers can't help Brian Piccolo because it's terminal, and just very heart wrenching. Very powerful movie. So one of my favorites. I don't know. This came out back in the 70s. I guess this was a long time. All right, next movie. Rudy. No, Dave doesn't like it. I should run these by Dave. Dave does not like Rudy. Do you want to elaborate on it, Dave? Okay. I think it's great because he can't, trying to get on the team, works very hard at it, and does eventually make it. And he's the last, true story, last player to be carried off, at least as far as I know, to be carried off the field in Notre Dame. So kind of cool. My all-time favorite inspirational story, sports related, probably the greatest sporting event of all history. Dave, I'm going to give you a chance to guess this one. Greatest sport event of all time. Or Duke, maybe. Anybody? Miracle on Ice, the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. This, of course, Rudy. And what made this like such a great event? Do you guys remember 1980 hockey, the U.S. Olympic team. What made it so special?
First, rivalry with USSR. In fact, they were so much better.
Correct. And they weren't just better, they were putting professional, the best players, and Russia is one of the best countries for producing professional sport players, plus Canada. But Russia had the creme de la creme, the elite all-time and they were paying these athletes. And we had a bunch of kids from different schools who were good, but nowhere near that caliber. And they were not supposed to win. In fact, they played them in a scrimmage game beforehand, and they lost. They got killed. They got slaughtered like 10-2 or something like that. And there's no way they're going to beat these guys. And then they wound up playing them again, and it wasn't the championship. It was the game before the championship, and somehow they won. And my question is, what made the difference? How did they go from being these scrappy kids who weren't getting along to a very cohesive unit? Akash, if you could, there's a YouTube video back there. If you could put that up on the screen and make sure the B link is on, and then hit the play button. And this is, I always want to say Garth Brooks, but this is Herb Brooks, the coach. Not a nice guy. He wasn't a popular character, but apparently he, this is after they lost. I think this is maybe when they lost to the Russians the first time.
Get a whistle.
Hold up. Gotta get back on the ice. Let's go.
What for?
We'll find out soon enough. Let's go back on the ice. Come on, boys.
What for?
We'll find out in a minute, won't we? Let's go. Come on.
Come on, guys. Let's go see what he wants. Picture something? What's going on?
You guys don't want to work during the game? No problem. We'll work now. Goal line. That one. Think you can win on talent alone? Gentlemen, you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone. Again. You gotta think about something else, each and every one of you. When you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head. Again. Everybody get on that line. Hey. Again. Again. Herb. Come on, Craig, blow the whistle. Again. Michael Ruggioni! moving through Massachusetts.
Who do you play for?
I play for the United States of America.
That's all, gentlemen.
The players hated the coach, and the coach really pushed them. And I think that's a very scary place to be, you know. And these players, they were literally fighting over each other, who's better, which team was better, because they came from different colleges. And there was a lot of infighting, but apparently after this event, they started playing together. And I think it's fascinating when we look at sports, because I think sports teaches us so much. It brings us together in so many different ways. And we can draw analogies from sports and apply it to the kingdom. Now, thanks, Akash. One word I want to look at tonight, resolute. What does it mean, resolute? Determined. Okay. Resolute. And let's start with the word determined. What are we determined about in this life? What is it that we are going to focus in on? And I think one of the things when I think of resolute is everything else doesn't matter. I'm locking in on this and this alone. And whether or not you guys are with me, whether or not you guys decide this or that, I don't care. I'm going to go after that, and nothing's going to get in my way. Resolute. Any other thoughts regarding the word resolute? Right. Marked by firm determination, purpose-driven. You know, a lot of times folks in life, you know, we get tossed by the waves of life. There's emotions that come into play. There's hurt feelings. We pick sides. There's your team, there's my team. And before you know it, we forget what we're here to accomplish. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, yeah.
And I think of the song we sang a lot, I have decided to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
No turning back.
Ooh.
No turning back.
Yep, I've decided to follow Jesus. No turning back.
No turning back.
There's no other option.
Right.
And no matter what happens, I'm committed to that. Good, good. It's also, I think, a New Year's resolution. You know, it comes from resolute. Good. One second. So, I'm going to look at what Christ was resolute about. And we're getting to a part in Luke where it's kind of a game changer. Because up until a point, you know, Luke talks about the genealogy, talks about the birth, goes over great detail, all about what Jesus was like. And there was a local ministry that Jesus had in Galilee. And all of a sudden, a switch gets flipped. And now we see what is God resolute over. And we come up to this verse. As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. What does that mean? He he resolutely set out for Jerusalem. What does that signify?
Nothing was going to stop him from accomplishing that goal.
Yeah, nothing was going to stop him from accomplishing that goal. No matter what, he was going to do it. Nothing was going to stop him. He was going to make it to Jerusalem. Now, why is that significant? What's the significance of Jerusalem? By the way, this is in Luke 9:51. Jesus says this. This is Matthew 23:27. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who killed the prophets and stoned those who sent you. How often have I longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you were not willing. That's Matthew 23:37. Again, Luke, in Luke 13:34, this is Jesus saying, in any case, I must press on today and tomorrow and the next day, for surely no prophet can die outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, 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 you who killed the prophets and stoned those who sent to you. How often have I longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you are not willing. Luke 13:33-34. So what's Jesus essentially saying here? I am going to die. That's it. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. He's letting his apostles know that. He's letting certain select individuals know he is going to die. And this reminds me of all the great books, the novels, the great movies that we see today. This is Luke Skywalker flying into the Death Star. This is Frodo going into Mordor, but with a different mission. There's hope with these movies, but with Christ, it appears there's no hope. He is going to die. Now, let me see something. I'll come back to that in a second. So Jesus is resolute. He's going to die. He knows it's going to happen. And kind of like we saw Herb Brooks give this kind of motivational speech to his players. What a great speech, by the way. It's not the name on the back of the jersey that matters. It's the name on the front of the jersey that matters. Yeah. And Jesus similarly gives a motivational speech to his players in Luke chapter 9, right around 43. He's going to try to speak to them and get their attention. This is the Son of God. This is God. While everyone was marveling at all that Jesus did, he said to his disciples, listen carefully. Now, if I get up here and I'm just talking, okay. But if I get up here and I say, hey guys, listen carefully. Listen carefully. You know something important is about to be said. So what are you going to do? Probably quiet down and listen to what I have to say. Because what I'm about to say is important. It's probably out of the ordinary. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men. Okay. Something serious is about to go down. He's warning them. His ministry is about to take a big turn. So he's giving them the heads up that this is about to happen. But they did not understand what this meant. And it kind of isn't their fault because it was hidden from them so that they did not grasp it and they were afraid to ask him about it. And maybe that's because they didn't have the Spirit. because we know they were different when there was Spirit dwelled. So we know that the disciples didn't have great listening skills. But what's most interesting to me about all this is here we have Jesus giving this speech to his disciples, letting them know what's going down. And not only did they not listen or ask questions, and I've learned as I get older to ask questions, because I usually when I'm confronted with something, as long as it's not the very end of the class and everybody wants to leave, I'll ask a question, because I find that when I do that, other people say, I had the same question, but I was just afraid to ask that question. But they did none of that. And rather than kind of figure out what Jesus is doing, and after God, knowing he's going to have to die, and giving this little speech about, listen carefully, I'm going to be delivered into the hands of men, rather than do anything, in verse 46, an argument started among the disciples as to which of them would be the greatest. Isn't that interesting? Jesus just shares the most profound thing he could possibly share. And rather than listen and hear Jesus, they do the exact opposite. And they make it about themselves. Hey, I'm about to die. This is going to... And then rather than do anything, they go, you know what? Let's change the subject. Which one of us is the greatest? It's almost like a comedy. We can't write this stuff. But fortunately, Luke does. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, took a little child and had him stand beside him. Then he said to them, whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For it is the one who is least among you who is the greatest. And it's amazing because this great motivational speech has the exact opposite effect of what it should. And then a little bit later, in verse 51, it says, as the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And let me ask you this question. When was the last time that you were truly resolute about something? That 100% you were going to do something no matter what? No matter what. And did you get any resistance? Did you get anybody not only not listen to you, not support you, but maybe even make it about them? And then as Jesus begins his ministry, he no sooner gets out of the gate, and he's got this great ministry. He's got, he's Jesus. He can do anything. He could call down 10,000 angels, but he takes the long road. He takes the difficult path. And he does everything kind of old school. No shortcuts. He is going to do what he needs to do. And nothing's going to deter him. And as we continue, Jesus is now heading towards Jerusalem. He's heading towards his death. And he's starting to prepare people. Like John the Baptist had to prepare Israel. So Jesus starts sending people ahead of him to prepare the people to hear the message. Because now it's a new message. It's going to be going from Galilee out into the world. It's going to go through different regions. We had the map up on the board before. I should probably have it now, but I forgot it. They're going to go through Samaria. And in verse 52 it says, and he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, and this is very famous, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven and destroy them? Wow. Not only does Jesus not get support when he's announcing his mission, when he starts the mission, he's getting the opposite. Nobody's listening to him, and the disciples, James and John, are trying to take control and tell Jesus what needs to happen. So not a great start. We're just out of the gate. James and John has spent at least 4 chapters with Jesus from Luke. good amount of time with Jesus. You would think that they would kind of get what their mission is, but they're not getting it. They're not listening. They're making it about themselves. Who's the greatest? If anybody offends us, we'll just call thunder down upon them. Let's get this started. Let's get this party started right. Let's get this party started quickly. And Jesus is like, wait a second. And incidentally, James and John, what were their nicknames? Sons of Thunder. Absolutely. Bonerges.
What does that mean?
Bonerges? Sons of Thunder?
Yes.
That's a good question. Now, does that mean that their father was loud and boisterous? Maybe. Does it mean that they're prone to being, impulsive? Maybe. I don't know for sure. We could speculate. But I think here gives you a little hint of if they want to call lightning and thunder down on these people, it might give you a little insight into where that nickname came from. So, do you want us to call, fire down from heaven to destroy them? That kind of sounds like lightning and thunder kind of thing. Do I know exactly what it means? No, but it kind of gives you a safe representation of who they are. But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he said to his disciples, then he and his disciples went to another village. So village one, strike one. Didn't go very well. He wasn't received very well. His disciples wanted to call thunder down upon them. Jesus rebukes them. Now, in all fairness, we don't know how it went because I'm sure that Jesus probably did certain things and had some impact, maybe planted some seeds, whatever. But now they're going to come in to the next village. But Jesus turned and rebuked them, and then he and his disciples went to another village. In village 2, as they were walking along the road, a man said to him, I will follow you wherever you go. So finally, Jesus has his first disciple. He's left the Galilee region. He's walking along. He finally records his first disciple. I will follow you wherever you go. Or does he? Because Jesus replies, foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. He said to another man, follow me. But he replied, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. Jesus said to him, let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Still another said, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. Jesus replied, no one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. Let me ask you this question. Is Jesus being a little extreme here? Is he being extreme? Is Jesus being extreme by saying these things to these individuals?
Well, my first reaction is, yeah, it seems unreasonable.
Yeah.
I don't think it is because it's Jesus, but
Yeah.
that's my first reaction is, yeah, come on.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I think he is myself. I think he's being extreme. I think he's being resolute. I think he's all in on us. And I don't think he's being ridiculous and being extreme to expect the same from us. Because he's gone all in. And he's God. And he's resolute on us. And he's saying, look, I'm willing to go all in. Are you willing to do the same? Dave.
He's also, he's not snake oil salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Lets people know what they're getting into up front.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse than getting in on a good deal that gets less and less good the more you find out about it. Hidden fees or whatever the modern equivalent might be. But he's saying, this is it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
If I only get some, I don't want any. If I can't have
Yeah. Good. And I also see Luke, the great physician, he's telling you like it is. He's not trying to, like you said, trick you into anything. Luke is of course, Jesus is a great physician, but Luke is saying, following in Jesus' footsteps, kind of quoting the great physician. But Luke is a good physician, quoting the great physician, or pointing to the great physician, and giving you the prognosis that you need to hear. Because how many times have we seen folks who say they're resolute, who haven't counted the costs, who wind up losing the battle physically, emotionally, spiritually? And 100%, I think what's happening here is we're being alerted to the traps that we set for ourselves. And we need help. And Luke is not covering, not apologizing, Jesus is not apologizing. He's just telling you like it is. We need help. We need the church. We need Christ. We need Christ first, and we'll get more into that a little bit later, because there's some very powerful stories in the Bible. Not stories, actual events in the Bible that pretty much underlines we need one thing, and that's Christ. Yes?
Like too, in that same line is, Jesus gets, I think, tighter and tighter with this stuff as he goes, with his apostles. And we've been enjoying The Chosen, and a lot of it has to deal with these stories in Luke and John and all the Gospels. But it's, when the apostles are kind of fighting back with Jesus' resoluteness.
Microphone. Yeah, microphone.
And he's saying that, okay.
It's good stuff.
And like Peter is telling Jesus, you're not going to do this. We're going to stop this. And Jesus tells Peter what he really is telling us too is, Satan wants to sift us like wheat and just ruin us and send us back into the wind. And Jesus is like, I'm going to pray for you that doesn't happen. So it is neat to see that that's how he was then, and that's how we are now. And we're so distracted so easily, and it doesn't take much for most people to get knocked off course and then be gone forever. So it is neat to hear this reminder of Jesus saying, if you feel like giving up, don't, and double down instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's also very painful when you see people moving resolutely in the wrong direction.
Right.
It can be really tough to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think Jesus, it's all about the greater things. It's not for his glory, even though he should be glorified. It's not. It's totally for others. And I think, we think about the broad way, and we think about that narrow way. And another way to think about the narrow way is the specific way. The specific way Jesus went about leading his people. And that's how we should follow him. And that resolutely right behind him.
Yeah.
Walking in the dust cloud that's being brought up by his footsteps.
Yeah, well said, Dave. And I think one of the things, my takeaway is we have to follow Jesus. That's it. Now, we have to follow Jesus, and that's it. Now, my concern here is if we don't go all in, I know trying to find the verse. Jeremiah 29:13, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. I've had people in my life who I've lost physically and people who I've lost spiritually. And they've had kind of successive approximations of what they think God is. And if Christ is not number one, they are going to be grossly hurt in the most horrific way. And I see people who put too much credence on family, country, whatever it may be. And these are all good institutions, but they should not surpass Christ. And anything that does not honor God and build up my brother or sister, I don't want any part of. I think, Bill, you were saying how we have to focus on how Christ does it, and Dave, you're saying the narrow way is Christ. It's doing what he calls us to do. And I don't have the answers, but I think this is all part of it. You know, last night at Barnes & Noble, us getting together as brothers and sisters outside of the church, doing things. I know the soup kitchen that Vivian does. We have to be resolute about, how do I say this in a nice way, getting off of our you-know-whats and doing God's work. And going to Jerusalem, the places that we don't want to go, because he showed us the way. And to me, that's the governing principle is, and I know, Dave, you yourself are demonstrating that. I know you want to go to the retreat this weekend, but you have other things you're going to attend to, and I commend you for that. You know, there's certain things that, you know, but it is to me, because you want to do something, and as we all do, but there's a priority to put people first, and I find that to be commendable. That, and don't ever do drugs. Anybody want any more butterscotch? Yep.
These things last a long time.
They,
Scott, that was good. Always enjoy candy being handed out. Yeah, I think, Jesus is trying to shock that man out of his complacency. If somebody passes away today, you got a week, 10 days, sometimes even 2 weeks before you can do the funeral. But think about the times they lived in. That guy wouldn't have been there to even be with Jesus, because he would have immediately been attending to the death of the Father, because you've got to immediately bury him. It's a euphemistic way of saying, I've got some family business, my dad's not dead yet, so I don't think his father had died, but he was saying, I've got a family situation. And Jesus said that's not going to cut it. And that's not the only place where he said it. And I know a lot of people who put their family first and the whole thing blew up. And other people who put God first and their family second, who the family was doing fine. Sometimes you can mess up what you claim to love the most, or you can destroy it. And there's a lot of life lessons there. Well, we have our church retreat coming this weekend, and Tony's here. A lot of logistics in that, but the beautiful thing is it's some free time away from the usual distractions, and I've always loved going there. Now, we have a lot of events coming up. Beyond that, I think we're helping Larry DeSimone to move, and Tony, Bill, I don't know who's the point man on that, but okay. Okay.
And it's got to be after the church retreat, and it's tough
Yes.
because everybody's tired and all, but
Yes.
the guy needs help and can't do it without us. So
Helping a brother in need.
and after the retreat, none of us are going right over there. And
Okay.
we could use your help, whoever you are.
Yes. Even if you can't lift. Yes. It is a good something to gather around and put our energies together to help a brother. Easter is coming up, and we have the little invitations. Whether you use them or not is beside the point, but we get everybody to bring somebody, get an invitation out there to people, and I was just inviting somebody today, one of our neighbors. The Men's Good Friday breakfast is always coming up. We also have a Good Friday service here at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, and it's a brief service focusing on the cross. Good Friday is April 18th, the Friday, of course, before Easter. The speaker this year is Barrett Brooks at the Good Friday breakfast. Okay, that's in the early morning for the men's breakfast. Right across the street, Scottish Rite, Barrett Brooks, former Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman. $20, best deal in town. I've got tickets. If you're interested in that, let me know. And we always have a great table there and a good time. They always end right on time because people have to go to work. Any other announcements tonight? Any other news? Cathedral Kitchen coming up, not tomorrow, but the 17th, yes. Yeah, Good Friday Eve. A great way to occupy ourselves. Yes, Bill?
So the Chosen, we've done the first two. There's
Yes.
one left. And with it being San Mazzani and then Myra's move, it's kind of like see it on your own when you can. It does actually, the same one is still being played up through Thursday, like the one from this past time, if you miss it. And then this Thursday, tomorrow at 6, the last one starts being shown for the next week. So try to catch it if you can. We probably won't go as a group.
Yes.
But we're going to try to catch it Thursday at 6 tomorrow.
My understanding is after Easter, it's going to be available for streaming. Okay, very good. It is incredible. I've been to both of those previews, and they've been fantastic. Real great portrayals. All right? Okay. Turn to number 396. Or 395, pardon me. 395. Follow me. I traveled down a lonely road and no one seemed to care. The burden on my weary back, it bowed me to despair. I oft complained to Jesus how folks were treating me. I then heard him say so tenderly, my feet were also weary upon the Calvary road. The cross became so heavy, I fell beneath the load. Be faithful, weary pilgrim, the morning I can see. Just lift your cross and follow close to me. I work so hard for Jesus, I often boast and say, I've sacrificed a lot of things to walk the narrow way. I gave up fame and fortune, I'm worth a lot to thee. And then I hear him gently say to me, I left the throne of glory and counted it but loss. My hands were nailed in anger upon a cruel cross, but now we'll make the journey with your hand safe in mine. So lift your cross and follow close to me. Oh Jesus, if I die upon a foreign field someday, 'twould be no more than love demands, no less could I repay. No greater love hath mortal man than for a friend to die. These are the words he gently spoke to me. If just a cup of water I place within your hand, then just a cup of water is all that I demand. But if by death to living they can thy glory see, I'll take my cross and follow close to thee. All right, 876 is a simple tune. Maybe it'll come back to you. 876, where he leads me, I will follow. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. Take thy cross and follow me. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way. I'll go with him in through the judgment. I'll go with him through the judgment. I'll I'll go with him through the judgment. I'll go with him all the way. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way. Brother Darren, would you close us in prayer? We follow Jesus.
Father in heaven, Lord, we thank you, Lord, for this day you blessed us with. We thank you for giving us another opportunity to praise you, Lord. We pray that you be with us as we go back towards our own homes, and we pray that you are with us there and that your light shines throughout our life. In Jesus' name we pray.